Tai Chi Connection Video Magazine. In this issue, Greg Nollmeyer shows us some of his teaching style using the classic move, wave hands like clouds. He takes us from movement and integration into possible application. Also, William Miller shares some Chen-style Tai Chi as he performs some movements from the famous form Lao Jia Yilu, and then some applications from the form. Then, we share a moment with Nicholas Alsop as he shows and talks about some of the things he covered in his Cleveland workshop, which showcased using Tai Chi principles against non-Tai Chi styles. Also included in this episode, Harry Legg, that would be me, your friendly Tai Chi Connection Video Magazine voiceover guy, discusses rooting and different types of uprooting, including T-Fung, all while demonstrating using Clear's internal push hands method as well as traditional stances.
Hi, I'm Greg Nollmeyer, a student of Richard Clear's, and my Tai Chi school is the Spiral Chi Center in Michigan. I thought it might be interesting to share how we help students develop their movements at our school. We'll have a look at wave hands like clouds. We start by teaching them the basic movement, the foot placement, the turnings, and the hand movements. But it is very important to me that in the same class that the students learn the movement, that they can test their relaxation and their integration through that movement. So soon after students have the basic shape of the movement, I'll demonstrate some simple partner work that they can do together to ensure that they're maintaining that relaxed integration and ground connection through their movement. Over this direction, we want to have good body structure for that. So if I just put a little pressure on your shoulder, not a ton, and you turn, can you feel when your hip's going out just a little bit there? Mm-hmm. Yes. So do that again and see if you can keep that same sense of ground connection. That's nice. Now if you continue to do that, just let your elbow kind of move me out of your space. Keep your ground. Pretty good, pretty good. Nice. Do that again. Don't throw in the back bend. Just, I know, so many things. Body turns carrying you. Nice. So get this, less strain in the shoulder, neck more relaxed. Better alignment through the hips. I mean, that's going to help your back and your neck all day long as well. Make sense? Right. If I just try to yank him around, he's got enough going on that don't go anywhere. I'm going to kind of pull myself forward. I have to settle through me as well to make that happen. These structure tests magnify alignment errors and they reward the relaxed integration that we're seeking. Remember, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a sensation is worth 1,000,000 words. Getting my students these sensations on the first time they learn a movement is very important to me. I should note, however, that these structure tests are often not the application of the movement themselves. Testing the power of the relaxed integration against some resistance gives us valuable feedback, but Tai Chi does not typically meet force with force when fighting. It is not important to me that students immediately work on the martial application of a movement after learning it. I'd much rather have them focus on getting the movement right and learning from those structure tests to maintain that relaxed integration. Once they're comfortable with the basics of the movements, then we begin to look at basic application scenarios. We're going kind of one side to the other side. It's kind of this sort of a movement. If he does that, I step off the line, I am here. Now I don't want to be here in the I'm so relaxed I'm collapsed school of Tai Chi. Like I don't want to be here like this because it's just I've tried to achieve relaxation by letting go of all of my energy. I want to be relaxed and open. So he does that and I say, oh hey, and you can see I still have structure there. Now I'm not going to use it like that. He comes in, I come around and I do the move. And he's going that way. There's lots of application, I'm just showing some ideas. So he comes in again, maybe I do this, and there's that. And again, there's still that sync, so what ends up, if my partner is faking, so let's say that I'm his partner, and I'm doing this kind of a thing. He had to do zero work, consequently he's going to learn zero, right? He's not going to learn, he's going to learn like, wow, I'm so good. But if I give him something where he has to turn and move and I'm staying solid, so go ahead, try to move through me, it's okay. Make it a little better. Then he's got something to learn from. Eventually, when students are comfortable with the basic application, we look at developing and including more of our internal skills. Better sung, better listening, better coiling, better rooting, etc. And we try to bring all of that then to the application. You know, it has to be that same level of, oh yeah, sure, okay. I don't want to be like, hey, don't punch me, because what's going to happen? Ultimately, probably this. I want to say, oh yes, I'm helping him, but there's a moment there where it's like, oh, that join is so good that's happening. Then at speed, you know, it's like, oh, sure, because we got a little momentum in play. You know, yeah, sure, thank you. That was a nice, I like that motion, you know what I mean? It's a different sort of radical acceptance, if you will. That's what's happening, I'm gonna join with it. Thanks for taking the time to watch this. I hope it's been useful to you. If you're nearby, definitely drop by for one of our classes or come to one of our open monthly push hands meetups. Be well.
These little things happen in the form, these transitions that on the folds can collapse their structure. They can collapse the structure. But what I have to do to collapse it is not just push with my arm. I have to somehow, through repetition and practice, connect my waist to the arm to this position. Okay? So from this angle, in the form, it'd be like this. If you were just trying to find it classic like this. And then I can slip my hand up and come here. And direct it with the waist. Then we open, but we don't shift back. We sink down first. Then as we load the leg, we pull, and then as our hands cross center, as our left hand crosses center line, we begin to turn the right and spiral it out. And now the right hand doesn't cross center. Then, as we start to sit down on the left leg, we create G by bringing the hands in, kind of squeezing, pulling everything in. Now we're going to pull right, shift, pull the left foot in as the hands go down. So mechanically, we're gonna go slower this time. We have this position. I can come over the top and try to break free, or say I can get my hand under. I come under in G. Now, the reason why I don't like this position as much is because his hand is already free. If I come over, I collapse his hand in, and now I have this, and press down on his hip. We were talking about class, this movement of down hit. Positionally, I want you to see that here, I'm bringing the hands in and I'm using the break on the thumb. So the thumb is his weakest part of his hand. So I'm here, and I fold and stick to him. Okay? Notice how when I stick to him, I'm putting pressure against his elbow. So his elbow, when he's grabbing me, he has a line up from his wrist to his elbow that's strong for him. I bring it here and I start to grab the back of his wrist with my fingers, okay, which allows his arm to be unable to move for a moment, and I pull in here, and then I press against his elbow to push pressure off his and disturb his structure of his arm, so you have the same strength in his arm. Okay. Now the down hit portion is I'm going to from here shift my weight into my leg and put the pressure on his arm. Now I close quad and take him this way on his arm. Okay. Positions develop application. How Jin or the kinetic energy of a thing develops an application. So from a classical perspective, you have ideas, but from a free movement and creative perspective, you take the structure, the alignment, the position you are, and find out what you can do. And then all these things are going to be dictated by the actions of your opponent, how much they move their feet, how they adjust, what they're trying to do. So this is where your Tui Shao builds sensitivity to position, but then you draw from applications in the form and make them alive and create your positional strategies based upon these things that take place when you're going free with your opponent.
One more. Left bung. Pull. Right bung. Pull. Left push. Small. Right push. Small. Down. Big breath in. Push up. Left hand. Right hand pushing down. Left hand up. Circling, switching, circling. My left leg comes underneath here, right leg, and I collapse like this. Now I walk my hands forward, and I'm on top. I can do, there's not too much you can do. Snap that arm right there on your shoulder and turn into them. When you turn into them, they lose that because your shoulder width, right? You guys can see that. Just keep this right here. If I turn in, they lose a lot of this grip in because of my shoulder's width, and then I can get a hand in, thus directing to the groin, or even up to the shoulder, chin. So here, you see how straight up that is? Yeah. So this all right to work. I think so. So where I'm at? Yes. I see it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah. That's it. Now you asked for me a lunch money.
Yeah, there you go.
When she was starting with the
One finger, so it's just
Yeah, you got all that.
no matter which arm you use.
It's kind of fun how you can make it. I'm taking this, I'm literally rubbing here, head into his body and lifting. Two things. One thing, actually. Guillotine. I'm pretty much done, right? Now, I'm going to show you guys something that's helpful. Guillotine, do it.
Yeah, I feel like if you go back, I would go back.
Okay? What did I do?
Drop into him.
Keep my head up.
Sure enough. This is Chris Burnett from Green Dragon, Tai Chi and Qigong, also from Tai Chi Connection Video Magazine. We got Sifu Nicholas Alsop here. He came down, did a workshop with us this weekend. Excellent workshop, by the way, as always. And just want to capitalize on some of the time we got left here, have him introduce himself, talk a little bit about his school, 5 elements, and maybe demonstrate some of his techniques, things like that.
All right. Sifu Nicholas Alsop here from St. Louis area, actually 15 minutes across the river. I studied from my father as a young boy when I was 6, so I've been doing it for 20 years. I love it. Growing up with it, I learned to apply it into everything I do, so it's become second nature to me, or first nature, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, with the seminar this week, we went over a lot of the technical stuff in Tai Chi that I would say is practical application out of the form that we've been practicing for many years. So I was really excited to bring that to your school because I know you guys do a lot of that stuff, which is really fresh. And I really appreciate Chris for being one of those guys that are keeping it real. All right. So yeah, I came out here, did the workshop, really excited. I was teaching some technical stuff from the form that just good practical application, stuff that Sifu Chris already does at his school, and I'm really proud of him because it's awesome work to bring your Tai Chi students into a whole other realm of engagement. You know, that is not necessarily typical, but it's good for your students after a certain amount of years because it gets them used to the other person's energy, the other person coming in at them, and it changes up things and gives you a different perspective with your own form. So awesome job.
Thanks.
Because they're looking good. They're looking good. Yeah. So I would say that you know, the technicality in the form is beautiful and sophisticated, but when you're doing application, you keep it down to the simple stuff. What else would you like to hear from me?
Well, you just said that in application, simple is better. So we were doing things that were kind of like brush knee-ish, things that were kind of like deflect parry punch.
Yes.
So you know, you have this nice long movement in a deflect parry and that punch, and it may necessarily be that you can get away with those big movements.
Right. So you're shortening them up. So yeah, the point of the seminar and what I've been trying to do is get more practical. So if my opponent is standing here in a fighting stance, I'm actually not going to you know, worry too much about these individual strikes. So when he strikes out, I'm actually just keeping my hand up, staying relaxed. Instead of trying to do all this extra stuff, I'm actually more interested in cutting the angles, coming over top, and completing the series this way. Meaning being faster, sharper, and more energetic, like one of our first principles, lively, lifting up, energetic. I want to embody that in the Tai Chi now. Because I don't believe that someone's going to hold this punch here for me to snap their arm as much as they're going to punch it in and snap it back. Okay? So I want to be prepared for that as well as the person holding their arm. Right? So if he snaps his punch in, I want to be able to get around that strike efficiently and not be surprised why they're holding their arm out. So you're just getting the best of both worlds. Someone's going to hold their arm out for a hard, long strike, and someone's going to pop their arm in.
Like maybe that number 2.
For a quick, for the number 2 thing that we worked on. So it gets you know, tricky there. So like what we were working on is the separation of push hands, grappling, and striking, and then kind of collaborating them. So the push hands one we worked on will help you with sensitivity. So he's pushing in, I'm keeping my pung, and I'm bending my elbow in, coming up, down, and inside. Very practical for push hands. I know competition push hands we don't strike, but I'm not interested in that. I'm actually interested in finding different ways to open the body, redirect the energy, and strike in. learning my Dong Ting, right, and my Fa essence and energies from those movements. So the first thing we taught was pung, for push hands anyways, was punging here, elbow sinking, rotating around and getting on the outside, and this way I'm able to strike and attack. This is allowing me to stay loose and heavy, so I'm still using my principles, but like Chris just said, you'll see some of the form in it. So if he's pushing, right, some of this is just brush knee or rolling back. This is pressing down. This is pushing forward. So, you know, that's a big brush knee, or that might be, you know, white crane. There's a lot of different things you can pull from the form. So 2, right, I'm pushing in, I'm circling around, striking, and hitting the jugular. Capitalizing on my splitting energy. Very good for controlling, very good for being surprising, right? So what I also talked about was active and inactive pung. So active pung in this seminar is matching his push with my pung. So if I let go, my hand goes flying into him like a broken rubber band. Right? Inactive pung, if I let go, it stays there, but I am maintaining structural efficiency. So that active pung, whether I come underneath, it's slapping in, going to the jugular, and I'm moving around. So like I said, it's not competition push hands, which I want to get more out of. I want to get out of it more than practical push hands, because then you can, if you go into a competition, then you can kind of dial it down, and you might know more angles and stuff like that. We did work on footwork, kind of not walking or crossing, just kind of shuffling and moving around, staying light, staying very simple. You know, this way you're not getting too much into the cross bagua stepping, which is great for close encounterment. But if I'm here, hands up, and I try to bagua step, I've pushed off balance, right? Because I didn't close. If I'm here, I can close the distance and use it as a bend or throw. Just keeping that in mind and making that relevant, that you have to close the distance for most of Tai Chi's applications to work. And that's why a lot of people are afraid to do it as a martial art, because it's here that we fight, not here we're throwing punches. So anyways, we went over a lot of that good stuff. I feel like everybody really resonated well with everybody.
Oh yeah.
I think they had a good time. We did some grappling too, which is not necessarily thrown in a typical regiment for Tai Chi, but I think it's necessary to take that's what push hands is meant to be taken to, is grappling. I think the Western competitions have actually stunted that by making fixed push hands and stuff like that. So I like it. I think fixed push hands good as a learning mechanism, but taking it to the next level is applying it to a grapple situation where you're actually stopping someone and taking control of their body. So one thing we went over was their hands are up, right? I don't want to deal with any of this, so I go through it. I make sure my hands are back of the head, elbows in, and I'm pulling the opponent down. This is a very simple one. It's very dominant, but it's making sure I close the distance, right? I'm not staying out here to be stricken, right? I'm actually closing the distance, coming in, making sure I sink down, keeping my body away from him, and closing in tight, controlling my opponent, possibly hurting their neck, sending a knee up, all that stuff.
And one thing, if you're watching this, you might be thinking, why isn't he boxing him in the ears? And that simple movement that he just did happens before I even get a chance. So once he has me in here.
Yeah, right here.
Before I can even think about it.
Done. So even if there was something flying at my head, it's not going to be as effective as me twisting his neck and throwing him into the ground and putting a knee into his gut.
Which we're not going to do here.
We're not going to do here.
We ran out of time.
Yeah, we already did that. No, I'm just kidding. So anyways, there's a few things we worked on. I'm really excited that Seafood Chris brought me out to Cleveland, Ohio. And Thank you. I wish for many more, and I'm glad that the students liked it. We have plenty of footage. I'm sure you can see from Chris's website at Green Dragon something.com. He'll put on there.
yes. Maybe some on 5 Elements as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
thanks for coming.
Thank you very much. Good. Another connection.
Hi, I'm Harry Legg. I'm a student of Richard Clears, and my school is New Jersey Tai Chi, which is located in the Jersey burbs of New York City. So what I'd like to talk about today is one of the 36 primary jings, root. There's a huge body of study and training just on root. To train your root, you're going to need depth and you're going to need volume. So one of the things that you can do with root is something called T-Fung. T is for lifting, as in lifting their root. Fung would be releasing, like releasing a bird and letting it fly away. Okay, so we'll stand in Clear's internal push hands position, which is Wu Chi. And by the way, I'll explain more about this toward the end of the video. All right, so we'll just connect here. And just to show, I will move him through his shoulders. Okay. And now through the waist or hips. There we go. All right. And now I'll use T-Fung. And I'll reach down through his feet and I'll feel underneath his root and I will lift and release from there. That feel different than the shoulders and the hips?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things with this is it's very hard to show internal skill on camera. It doesn't translate super well. You are, of course, best to get with an instructor or a practitioner so that you can feel it directly. So I'll try to show it a different way. Let's do the traditional push hand stance. All right, so we'll just flow for just a moment. Okay, so say we're right here, and for the purpose of demonstration only, you're going to give me a little resistance, and and I'll move you through your shoulders. So there's what that looks like. All right, we'll come back. Here's through your hips. And now I'll reach down through your feet. I will feel underneath your root, and I will lift and release. Do that again, feel different?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, the internal skills can be very difficult to show on video. You really need to get with an instructor or a practitioner that can do the internal skills so you can feel it through direct transmission. But here's what's happening in T-Fung. So let's say this is my root, here's my partner's root. I'm reaching through the feet and I'm sinking under their root. And then I'm lifting them and releasing. Okay, so now Vinny, you can try it on me. We'll take a standard position for right now, and I'll give you a little bit of resistance. Show that you can get into my shoulders so that we see what that looks like. Okay, and now do my hips. Yep. Okay, now for T-Fung, gently reach down through my feet, underneath my root, lift and release. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Little gurry there, but that's okay. So Vinny is one of my newer students at the time that we're making this video, and he is working on his root capacity. So this, of course, begs the question, what do you do if somebody is trying to T-Fung you? So give it a shot. Okay. Yeah. So do you know what's happening?
Yeah, I feel you getting lower. As I'm going lower, you're going lower.
Yes, yes. So I'm softening. So here's my root. Here's Vinny's root. I feel Vinny trying to sink underneath me, and I'm going, oh, I'm not going to let that happen. And I drop a whole bunch more root, leaving him kind of in the dust with where he's currently at with his root capacity and root skill. Okay, so for the purpose of the video, we're trying to be really obvious about what is happening. If we're just going to play, and you want to use T-Fung, so it will just flow here. If we're just going to play, obviously you would not want your opponent or partner to know that you are underneath their root and that you're feeling into their feet and that you're just going to lift and move them away. Okay, so you would be very soft and proper Tai Chi about it. So one of the other things that can happen is your partner could have very similar root capacity to you, where you can't really get underneath and T-Fung them. So what happens then frequently is that you can get into their feet, and when people are training root, frequently they're making the mistake of their feet being stagnant and stuck to the floor. And also I should mention ankles as well, kind of assume that the ankles are open and moving, but worth mentioning. So you want your feet to be alive and to be able to slip any attack that's coming at them. But if your feet are plastered to the floor and someone comes down on them at whatever angle they can feel works, they can peel you up off the floor.
but you want to be able to slip that. Very much like you would slip up here. So if he puts his hand on my chest and I don't slip this, off I go. But if he does that again and I'm able to slip, I would do the exact same thing in my feet. Okay? So not stagnant, feet are not stagnant. So let's show that. So I want you to, I'm going to give you some resistance. I want you to just go down into my feet and trap them. Yep. And now peel me up off. Yes. So he's in my feet. He's not below my root. He's got my feet. They're plastered to the floor and he's moving me. So now I'm going to exaggerate this a bit. Watch my feet as he tries to peel me up. I'm moving and I'm slipping his attacks. Go ahead. Keep going. Yep. And you can see my feet are moving, and I'm actually moving them a fair amount more than you would probably have to. But I want to be very obvious about it for the point of the video. Okay, good. Thank you. Now, one of the things that you might be seeing is this coming up a bit. And you might mistake that, not knowing better, watching a video, that I'm rising up. And that's not the case. It may look as if you could shoot root down underneath this, maybe in the shape of a shovel, and peel me up off the floor. But that's not what's going on inside my shoes. The balls of my feet, the bubbling well, and the heel or heels are all nailed to the ground. And actually, if he tries to target that, it can make him vulnerable. And I'll try to show you how. So we're just going to play, and you're going to try to target coming underneath my feet and peeling me up. And you see what it does to him. It makes him vulnerable if I keep myself together. So I've got root depth, I've got width across the floor, and if he tries to go for something he perceives as a gap, it can make him vulnerable. By the way, this does graduate to moving step. So as I've mentioned, a lot of the internal skills really are best transmitted to a student directly. You need to feel a teacher or another practitioner that can actually do the skill. When you feel it, then it's much more likely that it clicks and you'll know what to work on. If you'd like to feel T-Fung from me, I will be at Clear's Internal Push Hands Camp. That is Wednesday, August 22nd through Sunday, August 26th. And you will learn a ton there. You'll learn Clear's Internal Push Hands method. And there's a whole bunch of skill sets that go along with it that you don't typically find or that are harder to understand in the more traditional push hands method where you're moving back and forth like this and getting out of the way. And Clear's Internal Push Hands, you're in Wuchi, right up against your partner, and everything is done very internally. It's a whole different method that will really increase your Tai Chi. All the information and registration links are at clearstaichi.com. Also joining us will be a couple of other of our senior instructors. From Michigan, Greg Nollmeyer. From Florida, Daniel Stringer. The newest member of our family, Lester Holmes, will also be joining us. And of course, Sifu Clear. All right. If you'd like to find me and you're in the New Jersey, New York City metro area, go onto Facebook and look for New Jersey Tai Chi. Thank you.
And now, here are some upcoming workshops within the Tai Chi Connection community.
practical application out of the form that we've been practicing for many years. So I was really excited to bring that to your school because I know you guys do a lot of that stuff, which is really fresh. And I really appreciate Chris for being one of those guys that are keeping it real. All right. I really appreciate Chris for being one of those guys. Hey.
See you, Mike.
All right, Magic Mike. Yeah, I guess
you really appreciate that.
I really appreciate Chris for keeping it real and being one.
Good thing I know how to edit. Take 12.
Take 12. So yeah, I really appreciate. Damn it! All right,
we should go.
You want to? Yeah,
everybody coming out.
Everybody's coming out. Have a good night.
Yeah, have a good one now.
That's it for our summer 2018 issue. We hope you enjoyed our presenters and that it has helped your training or given you some insight that you can use on your Tai Chi journey. Till next time, stay trained up.